Who were the members expelled from the Black family? What were their unforgivable crimes? And how can such a repugnant family be worse than any enemy? Hey wizards, how's it going? If you're new to the Leaky Cauldron, stop acting like a muggle. Subscribe and turn on notifications to get all videos. To contribute, use the thanks button. Your comment will stand out, or you can join the thanks channel, home to one of the oldest, most traditional, and wealthiest wizarding families in the United Kingdom. The Blacks were not known for their kindness, tolerance, or humanity. They held an elitist and rigid view related to magic and bloodline for the Blacks. A person's worth was not in their character, but in the blood that ran through their veins. A blood they considered superior to others, almost sacred, and that needed to be protected at any cost. This mentality was not just a mere opinion, but an ideology carefully preserved over the centuries. The Black family crest proudly bore the phrase "toujours pur," which comes from French and means always pure. And it was not just a simple status symbol, but a statement of principle, values, and morality. Blood purity was the moral axis of the family, the criterion by which alliances were formed, marriages arranged, and people accepted or erased. Not by chance, the Black family tree, hanging like a living monument in the family house, reveals as much as it hides. Burned names, torn out faces, and silent gaps reveal the fate reserved for those who dared to go against the family's principles. Any Black who strayed from the family's worldview, whether by associating with Muggles or Muggleborns, or by ideologically opposing blood supremacy, ceased to exist. In the eyes of the family, this fanaticism for lineage turned the Black household into a place of control, surveillance, and intolerance. Love was always conditional, and acceptance depended on absolute obedience. And it's precisely from this environment that some very complex figures emerge. Characters shaped both by the Black name and by the attempt to escape it. Ironically, the most valued members of the Black family were those whose character was quite questionable. Some created traditions, like beheading the family's house elves who were too old and having trouble serving them. Others bribed the Ministry of Magic with absurd amounts of money to receive honors, like the Order of Merlin. Not to mention the many cases of parents who kicked their children out of the house in an attempt to erase or clean up a mess. In its history, only 7 generations of the Black family are known through their family tree. And today I'm going to talk about the members who were expelled, purged, extirpated from this lineage. Those who committed unforgivable crimes according to the law of the always pure family. In the first generation, the younger sister of Phineas, Nigellus Black, who was the least popular headmaster of Hogwarts, suffered all the pressure that the family could exert on her. Isla Black fell in love and got involved with Bob Hitchens, a Muggleborn. She couldn't have committed a more serious crime. For the Black family, mixing their precious pure blood with the blood of a wizard from a Muggle family was too much. A serious violation. So, Isla's name was burned off the tapestry. She was removed as if she had never existed, as if she had been pruned. Isla Black's fate is unknown, but she married Bob Hitchens and most likely abandoned that family's name. That was a source of suffering for her, since they didn't accept her love for a Muggleborn, and she probably started a new branch of the family where there was certainly more acceptance, more love, and more respect. And erasing the Black name from his story in the second generation of the Black family, Phineas, who was the second son of Phineas Nigellus Black and had received the same name as his father, was completely removed from the family tree for the serious crime of defending Muggle rights. Since the International Statute of Wizarding Secrecy was put into effect, many wizards who claimed to be pureblood were against the statute and openly supported a war against Muggles, openly supporting the extermination of Muggles. So, many believed that wizarding laws shouldn't protect Muggles, but Phineas Black, the son of Phineas Nigellus, disagreed with that and defended the rights of Muggles. He knew it was unfair for any wizard to use magic against a Muggle who has no way to defend themselves, who can't fight or face a wizard on equal terms. And that was enough to make Phineas Nigellus Black, the worst headmaster Hogwarts ever had, simply pretend that he didn't have a son, that he never existed, that he was simply erased from history. And don't think that the cruelty and intolerance of the Black family was limited only to those who chose to go against their principles.
Those who simply had no choice also ended up being targets. In the third generation, Marius Black was also completely erased from the family tree because he was a squib. Now, imagine a family as pure, with blood as pure as the Blacks.
To produce a wizard who doesn't develop magic, the child of pureblood wizards, who can't perform any kind of spell, who doesn't develop anything? No, it can't be. That's too much for the Black family. It's too much. That's an outrage, a disgrace, a scandal. So, he is burned from the Tapestry. Phineas Nigellus Black should be very proud, because at least his son, Cygnus Black, did what was right. When he had a squib son, he went and burned him from the Tapestry. He wasn't like Phineas, who defended Muggles' rights.
No, the one with the squib son goes there and erases him from the family tree. No one knows what happened to Marius Black, but it's very likely that he met someone without magic and got involved with that person.
Because it's common for squibs to simply start living in the Muggle world, to avoid and escape the prejudice and oppression of wizards. Still in the third generation of the Blacks, another member of the family brought a lot of shame to the So Pure family. The granddaughter of Phineas Nigellus Black committed the terrible crime of getting married, not with a half-blood, not with a Muggle-born, but with a pureblood who was considered a traitor.
Nothing was worse than a pureblood wizard who did not honor his purity.
And Cedrella Black was completely burned off the family tree tapestry because she married Septimus Weasley. The worst possible pureblood family, blood traitors who did not value purity. Certainly, Cedrella Black had no issue and lived happily with her husband Septimus Weasley, having children together, including Arthur Weasley. And don't think that those who help members considered outcasts escape the scrutiny of morality, of the family's sense of purity. Black Alfred Black was burned from the family tree precisely for having helped his nephew, still a teenager, when he was burned from the tree. The most notorious, most famous case of a Black family rebel, Sirius Black Alfred. His uncle helped him, gave him a large amount of gold, when he ran away from home.
At 16 years old, Sirius Black was the 5th generation of the family, and he didn't have an easy childhood because he was completely different from all of them.
First, he broke the family's centuries-old tradition of belonging to Slytherin at Hogwarts Sirius. At 11 years old, he was sorted into Gryffindor, and he would provoke his parents and his family with everything he could, anything that alluded to Muggles, like pictures of Muggle women in bikinis stuck to the wall, or a bicycle in his room. But Sirius had horrible moments during his childhood, for being different, for not agreeing, for hating. He felt hatred and disgust toward his own parents until he couldn't take it anymore, and at 16, ran away from home. And because of that, he was burned off the family tree for being a great traitor, a shame to his own parents, and with the money from his uncle, Alfred. After staying with the Potters while studying at Hogwarts, at 17, Sirius Black bought his own house. But Sirius Black was not the only one of the 5th generation to be burned off.
Expelled from the family, his cousin, Andromeda Black, also committed the grave crime of falling in love with a Muggle-born, Ted Tonks, retracing the steps of her ancestor Isla Black.
Andromeda made a point of leaving her family behind to live out her love with Ted Tonks. Their marriage gave them their little daughter, Nymphadora Tonks, and so, the Black family name ceases to exist, becoming extinct on the male side, since Sirius Black, the last member of the family, died without leaving any heirs. The children of the members of the 5th generation no longer carried the Black name. The son of Narcissa Black, who married Lucius Malfoy, carried the Malfoy name, while Nymphadora Tonks carried the dirty name of her father, the Muggle-born Tonks. Draco's son, in the 7th generation, also did not have the black name, while Nymphodora's son's name was considered even dirtier. He was also Lupin's werewolf son. Interesting. And it's the Black family, which for centuries prided itself on blood purity, immaculate crests, a surname treated as something sacred, didn't disappear because of external factors, but crumbled from within. The Black family was consumed by its own choices, by the obsession with controlling the blood, the thoughts, and the destiny of its members. Sirius, the last Black to carry that name, definitively breaks with what that name represented by rejecting the family's legacy.
He ends it both biologically and symbolically.
The Black surname survives only on an old, dusty tapestry on the wall of a dying and abandoned house, or else in the screams of the portrait of Walburga Black, who loudly proclaimed the failed ideals that no longer found any heirs. So that's it, my wizards. I hope you enjoyed it. I've made a video about the Black family before, but never just about its renegades, focusing on them more, right? I made a video here about the Black family tree, where I go through the generations, each member, talking briefly about them, but a bit more in detail about the renegades. I had never done it before and thought it would be really cool. I hope the Harry Potter series explores more of the Black family, but if not, that's okay. This is one of the spin-offs I would like to see happen, a series about the Black family, about the generations of the family. Something kind of like House of the Dragon, kind of like Game of Thrones, would be really cool, right, man? Damn, I think it would be awesome. If you like this episode, don't forget to leave your like. See you next time. Mischief managed.